Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This is Surviving the Badge, and we welcome you to the podcast. Tonight, we are going to be talking about Lieutenant Joe Clark, who was murdered while standing in his kitchen at his own home. And this murder occurred many, many years ago. We'll get into all the details and everything else. You won't want to miss this, because this is one cold case that I am very glad was finally solved. Okay, John.
All right.
Let's do the beer moment.
So tonight we're going to try Citrus Siesta from Cigar City Brewing. It's a golden ale brewed with orange, lime, and salt. I'm guessing it's going to be kind of like a margarita.
So not made with cigars.
No.
Okay, that's cool. It's an easy drinking beer. I'll give it that.
It has no taste.
I'm not gonna say it has no taste. It has a small amount of taste.
It has fizz. I am going to give this...
Yes, but I believe the fizz is shaved. If you can shave fizz, I think they've done
I
it.
believe so. What's your rating, John?
I'm actually going to give it a 5.
I'm going to give it a 3.5 for its lack of flavor.
What's the alcohol content on it? It's probably pretty low, like a 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Anyway, I'm
4.5.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
And the worst thing is, I love salt.
Right. Who
And
doesn't
I don't taste any salt at all.
Me
I
neither.
don't either.
And I don't taste any lime or
And I've
anything
actually
else.
seen people put salt in beer.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Oh yeah, back in
Okay,
the old days.
and I definitely want to put salt in this beer.
Right. So that we would like to thank our sponsor, Kenny's Grocery, for our beer tonight. Thank you, Kenny's. They are located in Orange City at the intersection of French Avenue and 1792. If you're interested in any of these beers, we have 21 episodes, give or take. We try a new beer every one, and if you're
Except for that one where you made fun of me and said I wouldn't drink the brown stuff.
That's true. We did do you're right. We did do a whiskey
Bourbon
night.
tasting.
Yeah,
Bourbon tasting.
Right. But if you are interested in a great quantity and quality and a diverse selection of beers, go into Kenny's Groceries, Orange City, 1792 and French Avenue, and tell them that you heard about them on Surviving the Badge.
All right, so tonight's case. Let's go into the our fallen officers. I'm sorry.
Like I said earlier this year, I'm gonna every once in a while pick up some unique cases, and this year's been a little weird. We have 2 cases, and it's really. I mean, a death of an officer is bad enough, but a suicide is even worse. So I'm going to talk about 2 of those cases. New Year's Eve, St. Lucie County Sheriff's Deputy Clayton Osteen and Deputy Victoria Pachinko or Paccio Osteen, Marine, police officer, great Pachinko. These are just a couple of great deputies for St. Lucie County. New Year's Eve. Let's see. Deputy Osteen attempted to commit suicide and was taken off life support a few days later. They had a child together, and within just a few days, his girlfriend, I guess they weren't married yet, she committed suicide just a few days after he had done it. So she was unable to handle the grief of her partner, life partner, or whatever they were calling.
Their relationship.
Yeah, their relationship. So, in all appearances, they were a great couple. Everything seemed to be fine. They investigated it, and they couldn't find any apparent reasoning behind this. The sheriff, he gave a statement that they were implementing more awareness programs. Apparently, there's an app out there. I don't know what the app is. We might have to look into it. But it's an app that the officers, if an officer is having an incident, an emotional incident, they can reach out and it will immediately contact them with a counselor or some type of support. So,
Mark, if you're listening to this, and I hope you are, if you're aware of this, will you give us a comment down below and let us know if you've heard of this app or if there's one similar to that? Our good buddy Mark DeBona is a big-time awareness counselor, does appearances all over the United States in reference to situations just like this. So, Mark, if you know, let us know. Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. So second case just happened this past weekend, January 29th. There was two deputies who were vacationing in St. Augustine. They were deputies from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, and they were vacationing with two other people. And apparently one night they were arguing, and the other couple heard a gunshot. And it was a murder-suicide of a deputy and then himself.
Was himself a deputy as well?
Yes, they were both deputies. Yeah, so
Wow.
he had killed the male deputy killed his girlfriend and then killed himself.
And our statutes, our numbers that we give for officers killed in line of duty, they do not reflect suicide.
They do not reflect. There are websites that track
Right.
officer suicides, and I tried to look it up for this year so far, and it was a little conflicting from different websites, so I didn't want to put out the number of suicides this year for officers, but unfortunately it is, and has been for quite some time, an issue in law enforcement of suicides.
It's very alarming, the number of suicides in police work. It's really scary. I mean, the number is a crazy number.
Have you ever known somebody?
Yes, actually
Yeah.
I did. Unfortunately, though, actually I knew two. One worked for an agency next to ours, and he was beloved by everybody. And it was a shame. I mean, a young kid, man, had his world ahead of him and everything else. You knew him. I mean, it was just, it broke my heart when I heard about it. The other one, the guy actually, he wasn't law enforcement anymore. I went to the academy with him, and he actually went off the deep end, committed a crime, got taken off the police force, and then he killed himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a shame. But the one in the agency next to us was, it tore me up.
Yeah, and I
It was
know
terrible.
a couple from up north,
Right.
Yeah.
and it's a tragedy, and I mean, like you said in one of our earliest episodes, okay, about the only people who can understand what we deal with in law enforcement is the military and firefighting.
Yeah.
Firefighting, EMS.
For sure.
It's some of the things we got to deal with would, crack the rock of Gibraltar.
Yeah, blow your mind.
It
would.
And we're expected to just keep on going.
Suck it up and do the job.
Come to work the next day.
Right.
Yep.
Well,
absolutely.
here at Surviving the Badge, I'm telling you right now, if you send us an email at retiredcopsrule@gmail.com, I immediately get an alert on my phone. I believe Camille does.
Yep.
That we have an email, and unless I am like extremely in the middle of something busy or something, I always pop right on there and see. If you're having an issue and you feel like that one of us can help you in any way, shape, or form, please jump on there and send us an email or a Facebook message. We're on Messenger on Facebook. You can send that, and I get an alert on that too. Please reach out to us. I will put you in contact with someone within 5 minutes. I will have somebody on the phone with you that can help you.
Absolutely.
Don't go through this alone. Please reach out.
We are totally a brotherhood. We want to help you guys out as best as
Because
We still got your six.
Absolutely.
100%. All right.
Always.
So to our fallen officers,
God bless you. Prayers to your families and everyone else.
absolutely. All right. I have a trivia question for this week. John, you want to? So we are giving out classic Surviving the Badge merch stickers. These are great stickers.
Yes, they are.
For your car or whatever, your notebook or your.
That is
computer.
our old logo on the sticker, which I think is pretty badass. And we had to change it. And if you go back a few episodes, you'll see why we had to change it. But we had to change it due to some copyright issues. Or
Yeah.
whatever. On the screen is our new logo, and we're going to get some stickers. But let's face it, guys, we're not rich. As soon as we go through these others, we'll get some new stickers out.
So the trivia question today is, who is recognized as the first law enforcement officer in the United States to be killed in the line of duty? I'll give you a hint. It was in the 1700s.
So if you know the answer to that,
Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
He survived. I'm sorry.
What?
Well, he's still alive, so he.
Oh,
Wow, 1700s.
I mean, it's
The only cop I know
Always
is
a
serving in 1700s. I'm sorry.
always a smart ass.
Dude,
sorry.
how did you transition from muskets to Glocks? I'm just wondering.
It was tough. Well, no, it was actually muskets to revolvers to Glocks.
There you go.
So if you know the answer to that, you must be a subscriber on YouTube. Send us a comment or put a comment down below what the answer to that question is. Repeat it one more time.
Who is recognized as the first law enforcement officer in the United States to be killed in the line of duty? And I'll give you a hint. It was in the 1700s, and it was not LT.
Okay, so subscribe and like. We appreciate that very much. It really helps us out. If you like the content you're hearing, or if you have ideas for more content, throw it out. Throw it in the comments. Send us an email, retiredcopsrule@gmail.com. To win the stickers, you must comment on the YouTube channel, and you must be a subscriber. And we will send you a sticker. I'll reach out to you, message you, and we will get the stickers out to you. By the way, an announcement.
What?
Yes. 2 shows ago, maybe 3, Vicky gave us the answer
Yes.
to our trivia question.
Yep.
And I forget what it was now. I'd have to go back through the email and look. But, I mean, through the comments.
Or...
It was the Miranda
Okay,
question.
right?
Okay.
And she won. And I delivered her a sticker
In person.
in
Whoa.
person because she lives locally and I've known her for
So will
100
you
years.
deliver everybody's sticker to them?
That's a negative.
Ugh.
I will deliver them via U.S. mail.
Not personal, huh?
Not personal.
All right, so
let's roll.
Speaking of personal, I don't want you taking this personal.
Here we go.
It is the murder of a lieutenant. Okay, I mean I know personal. Oh, lieutenant's murdered.
LT's targets on their backs. I'm telling you.
So
That's some of the people I work with.
this case is the oldest cold case. Case is the oldest cold case murder solved regarding law enforcement. It's the case of Lieutenant Joe Clark.
35 years.
35 years, February 7th, 1981.
That is his picture on the screen right now of Lieutenant Joe.
81, I was 11?
And he was a sheriff's deputy?
Yes. He was a sheriff's deputy for the Washington County Sheriff's Office, which is in Ohio. And speaking of 81, so I was 11. You were what, 45?
Wow.
I don't know.
You can do the math that quick. I'm amazed.
Thank you. Appreciate
What
that, John.
year?
All right.
81.
81. Man, I was 16.
Yeah.
16 years on the job already? Wow.
Okay, I quit. I'm leaving. Bye.
So, Lieutenant Joe Clark, he is at home, and it's the evening, and he and his wife are watching TV or whatever, whatever they did in 81. And he's like, "Hey, honey, I'm going to go get a snack in the kitchen." And he's like, "La la 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 la." Goes in the kitchen, and all of a sudden, the wife reports later she heard what sounded like an explosion. Runs in there, and he's laying on the floor dead, bleeding. And she's like, maybe what she thought originally was he had a heart attack, fell, and that's what made the noise.
Right.
And there was blood. Maybe he hit his head.
Right.
Called the cops. They get there, and they're investigating, and they're like,
Why is this window blown out?
"Why is this window blown out? Why is there shotgun pellets in the ceiling?" Dun, dun, dun. We have a murder.
For those of you, unfortunately, if you don't know, a shotgun, depending on the length of the barrel, when pellets come out of a shotgun, they go like this in a big circular pattern. And depending on
yeah.
the choke of the barrel, that's put in the barrel, depending on what type of shell, and depending on the length of the barrel and the distance away is how far they spread. They can spread a full sheet of 4x8 plywood from 15 yards. If you got a full open choke, short barrel, boom. It'll spread wide open.
And it's funny you mentioned 15 yards because, so cops get there, they're investigating, and they find a window broken. They found shotgun pellets in the ceiling. They go in the backyard and they find a tree, and around the tree is military-style boot prints. Okay, and they found a number 4 buckshot shell casing laying on the ground at the base of the tree. So what they figured was that somebody was standing there waiting for him to come into, an open and then take him out. 1981. What was going on? What was the largest crime issue in the 80s?
Crack or carjacking?
Well, in the mid 80s and a little later, it was crack.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. So we're gonna go that line. So what they were thinking, because Lieutenant Clark was in charge of cracking down. Sorry for the pun. Cracking down on the emerging crack epidemic in that area. And he was making arrests. He was announcing, we're going to do some major busts, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, back when cops could be cops.
When cops could be cops, absolutely.
Okay.
Kicking in doors,
Would DAs prosecute them?
Yes.
At that
yes.
time, they would.
Now, unfortunately, because of a lot, especially in Florida, a lot of the sentencing, they'd get out in minimum amount of time. But that's for a different episode. So he was in charge of a plan. He was putting a plan together to bust a lot of dopers, a lot of things. And so they're thinking, well, maybe this is a drug hit. Somebody was taking him out to take him out of the equation to protect themselves. Yes.
Just real quick, a 12 gauge buckshot shotgun cartridge, number 4 size. The typical number of pellets are 21 pellets
Okay.
of 6 millimeter shot.
Right.
So you have 6 millimeter pellets, 21 of them coming at whoever you're shooting at.
Look at our
Just to give you a reference.
Look at our research department there, kicking ass, right? All right.
That's because
so
I got my Wi-Fi password.
he's all
Finally.
over it.
Yeah. I'm changing his bank accounts right now.
What
Oh,
bolstered?
good, because you're adding money, because I got nothing.
Right. So what?
Because we had no viewers. Come on, listen.
Come on.
Subscribe.
So what bolstered this thought was 2 days later, a local drug dealer in the same county was also murdered, and this drug dealer, guess what? CI of Lieutenant Clark.
Oh, the plot thickens.
Documented CI.
Dun dun dun.
I'm sure. I don't know what they did in 1981. Things were a little loose.
Well, we documented him in the 86, 87. We were
Oh
documenting.
yeah, you have to document them.
Yeah.
But you also, there were plenty of undocumented CI.
Oh, absolutely.
So they thought that the 2 murders were
See
connected.
the shield.
Right. Yeah. So they're working the case. They also came across a lot of witnesses who said that they noticed a blue Ford Pinto parked relatively in the area for a long time, and the driver was just sitting there. And anytime anybody would walk by, it'd be like, kind of like disguising his face or hiding his face. So that was part of that. Several drug dealers were brought in, questioned, interrogated, but no arrests were made. They were not able to find anything that really hammered home who may have murdered Lieutenant Clark. 1981.
Well,
Case
even
goes
if
cold.
even if they had DNA back then, I mean, where they could use it, and it was like it is now, if he didn't eject the shotgun shell,
Right.
there's no touch DNA from the shotgun shell. So if he just fired one time and didn't eject it, unless it was a semi-auto,
Right.
and ejected it automatically, and then he picked it up, without anything like that, boot prints, okay, we sold 14.5 million pairs of those boots. So
Yeah. And there was a shell casing left, but
There was.
You mentioned touch DNA. That the 2000s?
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
many. I mean, even DNA wasn't used officially until 1986.
But-
so 6 years later, 5 years later.
Yeah, but
the
touch
very first
DNA
case.
still isn't 100% accepted.
Right. Yeah. So it's a
But with
modern
the
thing.
side of that casing, and on a regular like birdshot load, the metal part of that casing is only about that wide.
Yes.
So it's very small. You could fingerprint it.
You could.
You could.
Yep. And they
I
probably
mean,
did.
But you're only gonna get,
Well, not only
partial.
that, if I have a shell casing and I load it and I fire it, you've got all those gases that's going to wipe out that
Contaminate.
a lot of it.
Right. Yeah.
May or may not be anything. And if it is, you're talking a fingerprint, partial about like that.
Right.
So yeah, very
so
hard.
they talked to people, they worked it, it went cold.
Right.
Yep.
A lot of them do.
Yeah, unfortunately. So November 2012. I don't do the math, whatever that is, from 81 to 2012. The sheriff's office said, hey, you know what we should do? We should start a cold case squad. We should start a cold case squad. And guess what? The very first case that they looked at,
As they should. Hello.
one of their own.
One of their own brothers.
So they said, okay, cold case squad, Lieutenant Clark, all right? And they started looking at it, and they're like, okay, let's look at the whole picture. The house was still there. It was not remodeled or anything. People would come in and come gone, but they didn't make any changes. So they asked the people, hey, we're working this cold case investigation. Do you mind if we bring in some high-tech equipment and do some laser measuring and all that? And they figured that the shot was 31 feet from the kitchen window, which is neat because I know you haven't studied this case, but you said 15 yards, which is about 30 feet.
45.
So
It's still very close. I mean, to
so
what I said.
they figured about 31 feet was from the tree to where he was standing, and what they did is they said, okay, we're
The
looking
spray
at
pattern?
yes, they
Because
said
it's conical.
right.
You ever watch Numbers? Everything has a number, and you can figure it out if you know the numbers. But it comes out of the gun and it just goes like this. But the same pattern. Boom.
Well, I don't know if it's the same pattern because you got chaos
Well,
theory in
yeah,
there,
but-
but it's essentially, you're right.
Right.
So what they did is they went to the range and they tried shooting a bunch of different guns to see what matched the pattern, like you're saying.
With number 4s.
With number 4s,
'Cause they knew they had that.
Same
they had
brand,
that. Yep.
probably, everything.
Yep.
And they
Yeah,
had
if it was a
different weight
Winchester.
barrels
Yep, absolutely. So, guess what they found out? So, my research didn't tell me exactly, and this is a question I have for you. So they determined that the shotgun was a police-style shotgun. 86. When was your first year in law enforcement?
85.
870s?
19 or 18.
Both.
870s?
Yeah. Huh?
Shotguns, 870s?
Yeah, 870s.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
with the
that-
extension tube to load more rounds.
Right.
So the barrels were very short.
Right.
They weren't very long.
No,
at
they were
all.
not hunting.
They were not for hunting or for turkey shooting or anything else. So yeah, the spray pattern on that would be quite a bit larger than on a turkey gun,
Right.
duck gun, something like that with a very long 28-inch barrel. I would say those are probably the barrels on those, probably 18 to 22 max, probably 22,
Yeah.
somewhere in that area.
So for you guys listening or watching, Remington 870, that's kind of like And were you guys didn't use shotguns, did you? Or
Oh, absolutely. We
was
had
it still the
shotguns
Remington
forever.
870? Or
Yeah,
did you
I
guys
actually, I started in '99.
We'd already went to the MP5s.
Never issued a shotgun.
Yeah, my entire career from when I got out of from the academy, which was '88, to when I left, it was 870s, Remington
Now-
870s.
Let me just ask you a question though, and totally off topic, other than shotguns. Is there anything more intimidating than the sound of a shotgun whacking?
No,
No.
it's an awesome and devastating weapon.
I remember we're on a felony stop. There's like 17 cops, it's a carjacking suspect and all that stuff. And we all got our handguns drawn. Show us your hands, show us your hands. And one officer gets on scene and he racks a shotgun. And I think everyone was like, what?
Yeah, you can hear it for a
mile
block
away.
if he racks it hard enough.
And it's like one of those.
And everybody.
It's like when the bad guy comes into the saloon.
Yeah,
You know when a shotgun is racked.
for sure.
All right.
Especially in a tense situation.
So they narrowed it down to a police style, and my research didn't say a Remington 870. If anybody knows exactly what the weapon is, let us know in the comments section. But I kind of figured it.
And here's another thing with the 12 gauge, unlike a rifle or a handgun, there are no lands and grooves inside of a shotgun barrel. So there's no way you can get ballistics off of the pellets that come out of a shotgun shell, because it's a smooth bore weapon, slick as a baby's behind, and when it comes out, it just comes straight out, and then does its spread pattern. So there's no way to get real ballistics off of the lead or anything
Off the
else, the
projectile.
lands and
It
grooves.
would
Or
be
Off
almost
the,
like
off the shell casing, you could.
But there
get
is for the extractor,
the extractor,
It would
the
be-
ejector,
Right.
the breech phase.
It's
Yeah.
almost like an automatic BB gun.
Yes. Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Not
they
good
started
anything.
looking at law enforcement, and they started looking into Lieutenant Clark's, who might have a grudge against the lieutenant, and they found an individual. So I forgot the individual's name. Bobby
Rubel.
Joe. No, the suspect. So there was a suspect arrested for burglary, and patrol officer arrests this knucklehead for burglary, and apparently, some of those suspects will just run their gator, the entire time to the station.
Trying to get out of trouble.
Yep, just blah blah blah, f you, pig, 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 pig.
Oh, that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right, you're a piece of shit.
Blah,
Didn't
blah,
like this burglar running his gator in the back seat. Guess what he did? Pulled over, dragged him out, and beat him alongside the road. Didn't pull a dog, but just outright beat this guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Sort of like a certain agency up north, I'm not going to say which city, it might be Gotham, where, really knucklehead arrestees tended to fall upstairs a lot.
so
Did
so
he even take the handcuffs off of him?
I don't know if
Wow.
he did. So
Gotta
this
give him a fighting chance.
This suspect, after he got out, he filed a complaint
Yeah.
that he got beat. He filed a complaint,
And he should have.
with the sheriff's office that there was police brutality. Well, guess who looked into the IA investigation?
Lieutenant Joe Clark.
What? Yes.
Wow.
So Lieutenant Clark conducted an internal investigation, and the investigation was founded. And he ended up firing, or suggested. So how does that work?
Recommended the termination.
How does that work?
Well, it depends on your rank structure and if they have the ability or the power to fire them. Because the city we worked at, when I first started there, the chief of police had the ability to hire and fire. But as the years went along, that power was given to the city manager.
Okay.
So it just depends, or the mayor, in some agencies it's the mayor, city manager, the commissioner,
Right.
whatever it is. But I can almost guarantee that 99.5% of the time, if the chief says fire his or her ass, the city manager is going to
Gonna
say,
go along with it.
what do you got on them? Okay, fire them.
Right.
And you're fired.
My
So,
research
most of the time.
and my research, I'm not buying my research because it said Lieutenant Clark fired him. I'm like, he's just a lieutenant. He's going to have to go through the
Well,
shit.
in 1981, he could have had that power to relieve him of duty and take his weapon and everything else, and then the chief just made it official.
Okay.
So, I
Right,
mean,
because, I mean, and I'm not, what agency was it?
Washington County Sheriff's Office in Ohio.
Okay, and I don't know how large that agency is and stuff like that, and it doesn't necessarily, but like, I mean, you go to certain agencies where, like IAB or Internal Affairs, whatever it is, okay, I mean, they pretty much lay down the law. If they say you're suspended, you know,
Right.
I mean, that's essentially a termination.
Well, like LT said, they do it. The chief makes it official, and the
and we
sheriff
don't
makes
know
it
the
official.
we don't know the size. So back then, a lieutenant could have been
The chief deputy.
second or third in command.
Right.
Right.
And he could have just said, you know, hey, sheriff, this is Lieutenant Joe. This is what happened. I found that it actually did happen. I fired his ass. Chief says, good to me.
Okay.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
You know,
Anyway,
back then,
so
I may
so
not have the-
under either under
formal
recommendations of Lieutenant Clark or by Lieutenant Clark, this officer was terminated, and his name was Mitchell Rubel.
let's just put it this way. He was responsible for his termination.
Yeah. Well, no, the officer was responsible for.
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
for his final termination.
Yes.
Lieutenant Joe Clark.
And all witnesses said that this officer did not take it well. He was pretty angry about it, and he's like, oh, that sucks, firing me for beating somebody. Is what
We
it
don't
is.
know if that's actually what he said.
I think that's quote unquote.
That is
It's a real reenactment.
that is Camille's interpretation of what this guy said.
So
That was Camille's, you know, actual. Well, I forget what I was going to say.
anyway, Mitchell Rubel. So a little bit of background on Rubel.
my
Prior
fault. I don't
military, he was military prior to joining the sheriff's office. He wore military or police style boots, and a lot of the research they say military, and then I'm thinking, our agency always issued us our boots, which are very similar to military boots. Police boots and military boots
Right.
are essentially one and the same.
G, because it's a paramilitary organization.
Right.
I have his picture up there now
Okay.
for our viewers. This is Joe Rubel, or I'm sorry,
Joe Clark.
no, this is Rubel when he was arrested. Sorry.
So he owned several guns. He had the same type of gun that was used to kill Joe Clark. He actually submitted a memo to the sheriff's office because he's a big gun guy. And what do you think the memo said? Prior to all this stuff, he said, "Hey, you know what? I think we should transition our ammo to number 4 buckshot, which was used in the murder." So he submitted that memo. His wife, guess what she owned?
A 12 gauge shotgun.
No, a blue Ford Pinto.
Ah.
That was seen in the area. Dun, dun, dun.
Wow.
Right? So when they talked to Rubel 31 years later, he said, no, I was hanging out with my buddy. And, we were hanging out, whatever, doing buddy things. And they go to the buddy and they said, hey, what's going on? What happened? And he's like, yeah, well, whatever, Mitchell
Rubel
said.
says, yeah.
Whatever Rubel said I was doing. But he was like really vague on what they were doing. And they're like, so, what do you guys do with this alibi witness?
Oh, there's a wet noodle coming out somewhere.
So they offered him immunity.
Okay. Well, actually, good point. But can officers offer immunity?
No, you're right. Officers cannot offer immunity, but they got what the state attorney says. This alibi witness knows more,
Absolutely.
and he's better as a witness than he is a defendant.
again, pointing out, referencing previous shows, the importance of law enforcement working with the state attorney, prosecutor, district attorney, whatever your jurisdiction has. That is why it's important that these two arms of criminal justice are able to work together.
It was great because I had my old buddy.
Synergy.
I had my old buddy Tom Brigman, worked for the SAO. He's retired now. I could call Tom. Didn't matter what time. Didn't matter when. He gave me his personal cell phone number, and I could call him, be out there in the street. Hey Tom, look, this is what we got, and I didn't abuse it. I called him on just the bigger stuff and something that was really weird.
Right.
And then he'd say, if he didn't know the answer or he wasn't comfortable giving me a direct answer, he goes, "Can you give me a little while? I'll get back to you." And I'm like, "Absolutely." And he'd get right back to me, and it was so
That's good
freaking awesome because I know cops that go their whole career and they know state attorney. Now he wasn't the state attorney; he was an assistant state attorney. But
They're the ones who do all the work anyway.
right, and he was in charge of a division. But I know cops that go through their entire career that never have a cell phone number of an assistant state attorney that they can call anytime. And it was just one of those things in my pocket. And, you know, when the law books fail you, you know, and procedures fail you, and you've got one of those wacko weird cases, or you think, let me just run it by them, it is invaluable. So if you're listening, and you've got a state attorney who you've got a pretty good rapport with, and they don't mind giving you that cell phone number, don't abuse it. Don't abuse it. Don't call them freaking every time you pull over somebody or every time you go do a search warrant. But if it's something weird or something that's a little, call them. And if you can have that relationship, oh my God, it's invaluable.
Yeah, absolutely. We and this is probably the same for you. When I was in CID, every week we had assistant state attorney come into CID. We'd sit down and we just talk about cases.
Yeah.
Hey, we got this case. We got this case. What do you think about
And
this?
Tom
What do you
was
think
one
about
of them,
that?
and he used to take his shoes off.
Everybody
The
laughed.
worst thing is, time I was up there, we were going through transition and different state attorneys, and almost never.
Really?
Yes.
That sucks. Yeah,
It
'cause
did.
it was always nice.
Bart
Hey,
Snyder.
We've got
Bart,
these.
Bart left, and then they
know,
just
I
kept
know.
cycling through different
Yeah.
Bart was great. Though.
ASAs.
Bart was great.
Right. But, but it is integral for the safety of the community
Yeah, it really is.
To have that good working
to
relationship.
have a good working relationship, not an animosity-filled relationship where, the state attorney is like, we're not going to file any charges from the officers from this department. It's like, no, we've got to work together because they're all part of the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
They're an integral part.
So did they give him immunity?
So they decided that they were going to give this witness immunity. His name was Todd Smith, and they said, "Listen, whatever you did in this case, we're not going to charge you. We want the bigger fish." And he spilled the beans. He said, "Listen."
Awesome.
He said, "Rubel came over to my house one night, and this is pretty recent after the firing, and he says, I need you to drive me somewhere. Got my wife's car, and I need that shotgun that I let you borrow." And Rubel,
borrow.
Smith is in the driver's side. Rubel gets out, and Smith's like, "God, it's gone a long time." Wow. And people are coming by, and he was like freaking out. And then he hears the shotgun. And just moments later, Rubel gets in the car. And he gets home, and he says, "If you tell anybody, I will kill you." And so he never said anything.
Wow.
And
if someone who just killed someone
Right.
says, "If you tell anyone, I will kill you," I kind of think he might mean it.
right.
Like, oh, this isn't just one of those idle threats.
So how'd the prosecution go?
So they actually, one step more, they contacted all of Rubel's like war buddies and Air Force buddies and said, "Hey, did anybody buy a shotgun from this guy?" "I did." So they actually found the
You
murder
did?
weapon. No, not me.
Oh.
So one of
okay.
his friends said, "Yeah, I bought this gun from him years ago, and it was the murder weapon."
They matched the
They
extractor.
matched it was the murder weapon that was used from the shell casing. So they charged him. He was arrested September 9th, 2014 for the murder of Joe Clark in 81. Found guilty. Golf clap.
Well,
It was
three-finger golf clap.
He was found guilty in 2016. He was sentenced to life in prison. That all sounds great. We're like, yay, high-fiving. Died 1 year later.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying.
Karma.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, it would have been really nice if he had spent a lot more time in prison. We had 1 year in prison.
You know, I found-
he essentially spent a misdemeanor sentence in prison.
I found it very interesting on this case as I was reviewing it and doing a little research that and actually they had a mistrial on this.
Oh, I didn't know.
There was a mistrial. It was a hung jury. It
Well,
was even up.
That makes sense because there's 2 years between the
Right,
arrest.
it was
and
an
the,
even up trial. The
Okay.
jury, they just couldn't come to a verdict. So they retried him
Right.
again,
Yep.
a second trial.
which is not in violation of double jeopardy because he was not found convicted.
That's correct.
They were found innocent or not guilty
There was
or
not-
guilty.
right.
So
They said they retired the verdict, is what they
Okay.
did. And then they retried him and they found him guilty, unanimous, obviously.
Right.
Found him guilty. But when he was found guilty, afterwards, outside of the courthouse or wherever it happened, the family members of Rubel and the family members of Clark were seen hugging
Really?
each other.
See, I don't know if I could do that.
I think why is because the family members of Rubel probably had no idea that he had done this, and they were probably just as appalled at his behavior.
Right.
And they probably walked over to Clark's family and said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, our condolences and everything else." And these were probably very good people, Joe
Right.
Clark's family, and
Yeah.
said, "You know what? It happened 35 years ago, or 31 at that time, 32, whatever. Let's just whatever." And they hugged it out, I guess, or whatever. But I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is
You don't
interesting.
see that very often, where a
No.
family of a murderer and a family of the deceased, hug it out. So it was
Yeah.
very interesting. That just goes to show you that people can forgive someone, or their family.
We're not hold the
anyway.
family
Right.
accountable for.
They weren't involved in
Right,
this, and there was no evidence showing that they were involved in this. So yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Last comments I have is I thought this was a really interesting case. 30-something years, one of the longest cold case
Crazy.
regarding law enforcement, finally solved.
Crazy.
It was a bummer when I read that he died 1 year after prison. So
Yeah, but at least he's dead.
at least he's dead.
I don't know if they have the death penalty there. Obviously not,
Okay,
because
I don't know.
they
Life in
sentenced
prison.
to life
Yeah.
instead of the death penalty.
Right.
So you know what? In essence, it was a death penalty. So good. Screw him.
Right. Absolutely.
POS.
And that was not personal, LT. I just wanted to talk. Just because it was a lieutenant, we're not trying to bump you off or anything.
Well, listen, guys, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. We are planning on doing more and more interesting cases as we move along here. Please, if you guys have any idea at all of a case that you want us to look into, investigate, talk about, give you some more information on, or anything like that, send us an email, comment on our comments down below, and make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button. It really helps us out a lot if you're on YouTube. But you can send us an email at retiredcopsrule@gmail.com. I get a notification immediately as soon as those pop up. I always check them. So does Camille. On the Facebook Messenger, we're on Facebook, Surviving the Badge. You can go on there. You can share some things with us. Send us messages.
You can watch the episodes.
You can watch the
There's a
episodes.
direct link to YouTube from Facebook.
We always put a link on Facebook that takes you right to the YouTube episode.
we're on Twitter.
We're on Twitter and on TikTok. These old guys decided to do TikTok, and next thing you know, they'll be doing TikTok dances. Who
I'm
knows?
going to be doing some dances, trust me.
You don't want to see me dancing because
Yeah, I've heard him
Basically-
sing, and all the cats left the entire neighborhood, so it was pretty
You're gonna
scary.
get the lawnmower, the sprinkler, and the shopping cart.
Hey,
That's
some
all I can
news,
do.
some updated news. We are going to start doing some shorts on YouTube. They're going to be called Ronnie's Rants, and I may do some other shorts where I pull different segments out of these videos and put them on there as little shorts. So stay tuned for those. They won't be more than a minute or two long, maybe 3 minutes max. So you can pop in and view those and give us a like and on those too. We really appreciate it very much.
If you subscribe, we won't send the SWAT team to kick your door in.
That's true.
If you don't subscribe, we probably still won't send a SWAT team.
John,
Well, no, because that's a clarification so that we don't get, canceled because we threaten them.
Listen, our merchandise is out there. It's on TeePublic. If you look on our Facebook page, we have a link to our merchandise page. We have a new logo. It's on the screen there, as you can see. This is the old logo here, but we do have
As
some
is this.
stickers. So if you answer the question that we posed at the beginning of the episode and comment, and you are a subscriber, we will mail you out a sticker. So I don't have anything else, guys. Great show, great job.
Yep.
Thanks for doing all the research on that. That was amazing. And just remember, at Surviving the Badge,
We still got your
got
six.
your 6. Heck yeah.